Hey, what's up? It's James. Here's my second journal. The first one, honestly, like I was just kind of trying to test the waters, and I still am. I am not used to this at all. So, part of the reason I'm doing this is like kind of to get more comfortable in front of the camera, get over some nervousness, because like I'm honestly still. I wanted to go over two of my childhood friends that I mentioned, Melissa, and then the other one was Joseph. Shout out to Joseph. He actually still I still see him sometimes. He's like down the street, and I would go to his house every so often, and we'd play like Ninja Turtles, and that was my favorite game. Um, and then the other funny story was, or I guess a couple stories about Melissa, which was the girl I met at preschool. There's one time we went to Chuck E. Cheese's, and then we were like crawling in this little tunnel, and then this one guy was like, "Yo, get your sister to come play with us." It was just super awkward because like she wasn't my sister. I don't know. I remember that. Like I remember there was another time I was in the McDonald's. I would go to McDonald's a lot. That's just where my mom would take me, or where I wanted to go. I just loved. I don't really like anything but I guess burgers and like chicken nuggets and stuff like that. So there were ball pits back then. I think it's illegal now because of suffocation, but like all the McDonald's used to have ball pits, which is like a big container with like little like tiny little balls in it, and you can like jump inside of it. Um, and then I remember I met this one like 19-year-old girl um, in one of the tubes. Obviously, she was too old to be in there, but I don't know. I remember that because I saw her and she was huge compared to me. I was 3, and I was like, "Whoa! Like, what grade are you in?" And like, she was probably in college already, so she didn't know how to answer me. I think she said like 13th grade or something like that. So another thing I remember was actually I remember the first time I watched Pokemon. It like it like stood out to me, and it was in my parents' bedroom, and we were or I was just lying on the bed like one afternoon, and I think Grace was home. Grace was my nanny back then, and I was just like chilling watching like Pokemon just came on the first episode for the first time or something in my life, and I just got hooked. Like, and then this went on to in Singapore, where I spent years 4 and 5, and I would just like watch it every single Saturday. I'd watch Pokemon, and I would just like look forward to it. And uh, and then I eventually got the Pokemon Blue uh, video game for the Game Boy Color. That was my first game, on and then the funniest thing happened. It's actually kind of embarrassing. So like I you know how like in the beginning of Pokemon Blue, if you've ever played this, you have to go choose uh, you have to go choose your Pokemon, and you have 3 choices: either like Charmander, Squirtle, or Bulbasaur, which is like the Fire, Water, Leaf Pokemon. But because my I don't know if my reading was bad, but I didn't know that. So like Professor Oak says like in the text below, like, yo, you gotta go choose a Pokemon before you go on your adventure, and I totally that just went past my mind, and I didn't know you had to like walk to these little tiny balls on there, which I didn't even really notice if they're Pokeballs or not, probably. And I was trying to leave his office, the professor's office who had the Pokemon. And I spent like over an hour just trying to walk out the door, and the game wouldn't let me because I hadn't chosen a Pokemon yet. And I was so frustrated. I just like, I stopped playing for the longest time. And I actually never beat that game till I was probably 10, 11, 12 years old, because I could never figure it out. I mean, I don't know what was wrong with me, but okay, no, I figured out how to get past, I figured out how to choose a Pokemon eventually, but like, I just couldn't I didn't know how to get past the second gym leader, the third gym leader. Just probably because I was too distracted to even read what the people were saying, or like that wasn't part of the game for me. I just wanted to like be in the game and not have to read like text. You know what I mean? Another story from child is when I drowned. So I did actually almost die and suffocate, I guess, if my dad hadn't saved me. I jumped into a swimming pool through like a slide. So I climbed up a slide. This was some public pool in Singapore, and I slid down, and the water just hit me so fast, and I think I like breathed in right when I hit the water, and it just like the water just flew into me. And then the next thing I remember after that, after just like being surrounded with water and kind of blacking out, I woke up to my dad like pushing on my chest, like trying to get water out of me. So that's how I remember it. That's all I remember from it. And crazy thing is, I think because I already knew how to swim at that point, that didn't scare me from going back in the pool. I think it was, but it still was like a traumatic experience for me, I guess. And another shout out to my friend Brandon, who I mentioned in the first episode, first journal entry, because we would play Pokemon together too, kind of. Actually, you know, everyone had these Pokemon trading cards, so we would have people would have binders of all their Pokemon trading cards, and I did something really stupid. I had either like a holographic or some kind of, it was like this shiny version of an Articuno, which is a legendary bird Pokemon. Which now those things are probably worth, you know, a couple $100 or something. But for some reason, I traded it away for like, I don't even remember what it was, like a golem or like some kind of, I don't know, just some rock Pokemon or something. And I just traded away my Articuno. And then back to Brandon, I remember one time I leveled up my Charizard to like level 35 or something, which is when you learn Flamethrower, and went over to Brandon's house, and I was like, dude, you got to come over. So like we quickly like, I don't know if we ran, but we quickly went back to my house. He was like kind of a neighbor. We went back to my home, and I was like, okay, come upstairs. I'm going to show you how this Flamethrower looks like. And we were like, oh, that's so cool. And we were, I just went into a battle and just like played the Flamethrower animation. And we were just like wilding out. Like the simplest things are like so amusing for little kids. And that's why there's so much we can learn from them. Because they really appreciate, like, they're like seeing everything for the first time, and they have like this crazy imagination. So like I remember I would make these like invisible roller coasters for like little cars I had, or action figures, and they would go, you know, I'd imagine like spirals, you know, corkscrews and loops all around the house, and I would just see the track, and then my superhero would kind of like fly around. I got one really cool one for Christmas, my 5-year-old Christmas. My parents gave me this like dragon with like wings on the back of it, and it was red, had like gray wings, right? And then it it was somewhat like mechanic. And for me, I had a pretty big action figure collection at that point, and for me, it was like one of the most powerful ones. So it just dominated my imaginary battlefield where all the superheroes played together. Um, and the reason why I got that is because in like my letter to Santa, I wrote I wanted a monster, like like a toy. I don't know. I just said that I wanted a monster for Christmas or something, and then my parents got me that action figure dragon, and I loved it. Another thing about my time in Singapore is we had maids. So this is a pretty common thing for a lot of households in Singapore, is to have maids from either Indonesia or yeah, mostly Indonesia actually. Like they can actually become part of the family, which is what at least I experienced. And I know there's probably a lot of like people who treat their maids poorly, but for me, like I really connected to our maid named Jonah. She was like 20 some years old, 22 or something, and she would like play with me every day. We had another maid before that, but she was actually too young. I think she lied about her age so that she could come over and work. And so we had to let her go because she was too young after we found out her secret. But Jonah, she was old enough and she'd play like Connect Four with me. She'd play like checkers. And when I played checkers, like I played checkers when I was a kid, so you could king like multiple times. So I would say like, okay, once you got four pieces on top of each other, you could like fly around the house and then come back and land like on whatever tile you wanted to be on. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with her. I think because both my parents worked, and like I just remember like playing with her. Another thing I loved when I was about that age was, well, I didn't love the music, but I loved the music video, and that was from the Backstreet Boys, and they had their music video for the song "Larger Than Life." That just it played on the TV every day, and that just really stuck in me. And I would imagine I would imagine myself being some of the people in the music video with like superpowers or something. And I mean, they were like the hot thing back then, and like I remember they do like plays at our kindergarten or something, and then I just wished we did something that included their music. I vaguely remember that. I do also remember a lot of times on the bus ride home, the song "I Want It That Way" would always play, and that was one of the few songs that I knew personally that my dad didn't show me, which was like all U2 and Beatles music. So that was also a big part of my childhood and into much later on, because my dad kind of almost exclusively listened to that time period in music, like classic rock. So mostly U2, the Beatles, and then a couple other bands that I really liked too, which was Yes and Genesis and those kind of bands. In addition to like any classic rock radio you could find. So that was my music back then. The other thing I thought was kind of funny was I only liked American food. So it was kind of tough like figuring out what to eat a lot. Like people would buy me breakfast at Burger King, or and then for dinner we'd go to this American restaurant. And my dad, you know, he didn't like, you know, Asian food either and stuff. So we'd go to this American restaurant called Swenson's, and I've never seen it in America, but I've seen it, you know, in Asia, in Southeast Asia. And the only thing, I mean, they served like burgers, and then there was like, it was like kind of like an ice cream parlor too. So they had these like crazy ice cream creations. But we would at the end of the meal, they gave you, or was it? I think, okay, they had like these toothpicks. That's what they're called, and then they attached an American flag on top of the toothpick, and they stuck it in your burger basically. So I would take these things home, and I had this collection of toothpicks of American flags on them. It was epic for me. Another pretty funny story that I don't remember how old I was, because I went to Singapore like every year after I left, and I'm not sure, but I was told that there was one time we were going to a Chinese restaurant, right? And I told my family, yo, I don't want to go there because I don't like food that's cooked by Chinese people. So, because I don't like Chinese food. So I said, I don't like Chinese cooks, basically. And the funniest thing was, I wanted to go to the McDonald's down the street, which had Chinese cooks. But, you know. So, anyway, that's enough about my early years in Singapore for now. We actually left because of my dad's work when I was about 6 years old. But my parents, I don't know, my mom asked me one time, like, hey, do you want to go back to America? Like, do you think it's kind of hot here? Like, do you miss America? And I was thinking, yeah, I kind of do. And when I was younger, I thought because I said that, that was the reason why we left Singapore and went back. Because I didn't understand my dad's, you know, work situation. But now I do. Because actually, when we moved back, I kind of missed Singapore, and I was like, dang it, like, why did I say it was too hot? And to this day, Singapore is like my second home. I absolutely love the place. I love my family there. I like spending time with them, and the food is amazing. Of course, when I was that age, I didn't appreciate the food, but I liked the trees. You know, like I liked the rainforest environment. And I remember when we were moving, like the company Crown that does like massive like moving things for people, they brought in like 100 boxes into our house, and we had everything packed in all these boxes to get ready to, you know, move internationally. And the boxes would be stacked up like, you know, all around the house along the walls. And for some reason that completely fascinated me. And there are like, you know, there'd be because it was like a fortress that was getting built, you know what I mean? And like you could sit on some of the ledges. So I would like sit on some of the boxes, and then it, you know, it was like a throne. I don't know. And my kid head, like there'd be boxes along the walls, but some weren't stacked as high. So there'd be like two taller columns and then a shorter column. Anyway, the things that you remember. And I'm gonna end this real quick, but special shout out to Harrison. He was my first friend when I came back from Singapore. And I remember I walked into Mrs. Ledbetter's room. Okay. And that was my first grade teacher in America. My second first grade teacher. First one was in Singapore. I walked into the room and this guy stood up. And he said, hey, I was a new kid walking in late to class or something. And Harrison was like, hey, I'll be your friend. And that really touched me. And the crazy thing is he was like my best friend for like, well, it would have been epic if I said like he's still my best friend, but he was my best friend for like 2 or 3 years, and then he is still a good friend. But then like, you know, we just got into different groups and stuff, but we would hang out at lunch all the time and make stupid jokes, you know. He would teach me some Korean. He'd tell me how to say like fart in Korean or something stupid, and then we'd just like laugh our butts off. You know what I mean? So fond memories of him. And probably next time I'll go into more like detail about elementary school. I'll give a little bit, probably fill in a little bit more stuff about my time in Singapore, about there's one thing I want to mention about my dad, and then yeah, that's about it. So see you next time.